going live.
Okay.
Hi guys, welcome to the School of Bass podcast. Today is with the amazing Gino Banks, and must say hi to him first. Hi Gino, how are you doing?
Hi, Saurabh. I'm good. How are you?
Very well. What's happening? What's new? How was your morning? How was your day?
It's good. I got my coffee, so all good.
I gulped mine down just now. Just like finished mine, all of it. Terrible that
Good, good.
way. Should have had more. So, are you able to practice more these days? How is life different now during the lockdown for you? Gino, I lost you. Can you hear me?
Uh, I can hear
Great. Please say that again. We
I can
lost
hear
you.
you.
Sorry.
It's a very, very different time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very different time right now. Not being able to get out and play gigs or do sessions or go to school and teach, you know. So having to adapt to this new way of life for now. I'm just trying to be as constructive as possible, and of course, family is keeping it, you know, going well. So very grateful for that.
Are you sometimes able to go see uncle and go there, meet family, like hang with them more?
Yeah, the thing is, the studio's at Dad's place. Right now, I'm at my mother and father-in-law's place
Hmm.
with Eden. So we are spending some time here. So we were at our place for about 3 weeks, and then I don't have drums in my flat, so I really needed to play some drums. And so we made the trip to Dad's place and stayed there for a couple of weeks, and that's where uh, I got to play some drums and also uh, get familiar with this online world of online lessons and live streaming and all of that stuff, which is right now our only avenue to kind of play music for people and to put ourselves out there in performance and or teaching.
Is it different, like after getting married, the kind of time you have in your hands now to play, to practice? How different is it from before when you weren't married?
It's not really um, the practice time hasn't changed actually,
Hmm.
uh, because even before marriage, with the workload, I didn't have much time to practice.
Ah.
If I'm teaching classes or rehearsing for gigs, going for a session, learning new music for gigs, you don't, and the scene with traveling. You spend more time traveling than you spend on stage.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, a lot of mental practice, a lot of listening to music, watching videos on YouTube, and then imbibing concepts and ideas and things that you will not physically get to do, but you can think about it and break it down in your mind. So I got used to doing stuff like that. I mean, in my teenage years, I was playing 7, 8 hours every day, but I didn't have usually when I started working, and
Right.
the point was to work as a musician. The point was to go out there and play gigs, do sessions, make music with other
So
people.
sometimes people are always telling us, or just generally we end up in these conversations where they say that, man, I can't play much. I have too many gigs going on, and hence I can't improve. So, but your take is different on that. You're always saying
Oh,
that you're on the run, you listen to what you can, you study what you can on the road, and practice
yeah.
whatever in the air or something like that.
Yeah, in your mind, you can. I mean, you spend so much time at hotel rooms, so much time at airports. You can sit on a plane and practice stuff too, mentally. You can imbibe things mentally. You can map them out in your head. You know, you can. I don't know how it works for other musicians, but for drummers, we can easily tap our hands on our lap or tap our feet and practice something.
Right.
Sometimes I put the metronome. I used to do this. I put the metronome on 35 BPM or 38 BPM, and try and just tap the quarter note while I'm on the plane.
Right.
It's
No,
pretty calming thing to do too.
I remember like the first gig I ever played with you was with actually Reese, and we were playing at NCPA. And now I knew your name. I had just moved to Bombay, and there's this thing, that people who have made it they have a different approach to practicing, and different something else is going on altogether. But that time in the
Yeah, they
green
have a
room, I
secret.
was.
They have a secret that nobody else knows.
Yeah, but then again, I saw you in the green room. You took out your practice pad before the gig, and it was 30 BPM. You were just sitting with 30 BPM. That's how you were warming up. You were really calm about it. You were really getting into it at that level. That's pretty interesting. So, uh, do you feel any different in terms of like, I would say, emotionally, like when you're playing drums now, having a partner, having getting married, and is it a different feeling altogether, a different approach towards music now than before?
Of course, the intent, the point of view has changed of how I play. So, my younger days, maybe I wanted to play as fast as I could, as complex as I could. Also, still wanting to serve the song, but I always wanted to do something that was dramistically cool and show off, and have this thing of let me play the most cool stuff all the time.
Right.
And once you live a little, and your set of life responsibilities grow, and getting older, you get, it's true, you do get a little wiser in your approach and your thinking. So even though a part of me still wants to play that cool drum, fill in the song, and do a little bit of show off here and there, obviously I still want to serve the song, but I view it from a more emotional point of view. And this is something that I'm stressing a lot in my teaching as well, is how do we translate the exercise and the technique to an emotional piece of music, that has some emotion, whatever it may be, happy, sad, funny, loud, soft, aggressive, sweet. I kind of thinking about it like that now.
When was this change happening exactly? It's just around your after getting married
It
exactly,
no,
or
it's evolved.
okay.
No, 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 no. It's evolved. It's evolved. I would say post my 30s, I think I started to think like this a little bit more.
Right. And
Yeah, yeah.
in terms of expression, do you do you say that you got to acquire more skills as a musician, or do you say that you want to be more sensitive to emotions to be able to execute and serve music better?
Uh, both are equally. I think both are important, but I hold emotion maybe a little bit above the skill level, a little bit. But having a wide variety of skill set will only enhance your ability to emote in various ways.
Right.
Some people who are not schooled or come from a extremely educated musical background but have exceptional emotional connect with their music, they touch a lot of people,
Right.
right? But they touch a lot of people with a certain kind of emotional connect only,
Hmm.
right? Which is fine. Which is fine. I mean, if you wanna feel something, that person is the go-to person for that vibe.
Hmm.
And for me, being a musician, that a drummer that wanted to play music, all kinds of music, all styles of music, with all kinds of artists, I needed to develop a skill set, a wide variety of skill set, to be able to play all that kind of music and have that right emotional connect with each of them, almost like an actor playing different kind of roles, you know
Right. And how would you absorb this emotion? A lot of listening, or did you do conscious?
listening.
A lot of listening.
It's listening.
Okay.
It's listening is everything. Yeah.
So I remember once you and Sheldon were talking about how you did you specifically work on music styles together, that we're gonna work on some jazz fusion now, some blues or some swing. Was it like that for you guys?
No, from what I remember in the beginning, the initial days was Sheldon, myself, and Sangeet Haldipur. We used to meet every evening after college, or
Hmm.
like from the afternoon, and play till the night. And then in the summer vacation, we played from like 11 a.m. and we only got out of the studio maybe at 7 p.m. and maybe broke for lunch once.
Hmm.
But what we did was we were I was bringing in music that I liked,
Right.
that I wanted to try with these guys. Sheldon brought in the music he liked, that he wanted to try. Sangeet brought in what he wanted to try. And between all of that, we also started writing music coming from each of our influences. And also we were very under the guidance of dad a lot at that time, to how to approach, you know basically a general musical guidance from him. So we used to learn a lot of his music, his
Right.
fusion pieces, a lot of his jazz rock kind of music. So all of that, and basically us feeding off each other, I got exposed to the Beatles heavily through Sheldon, because I came from a more of a jazz background
Right.
through dad, and then I had a heavy in my school days. I had a heavy hip hop phase, and as well as a heavy metal phase.
Wow.
Okay, and then so the Beatles were never on my radar, but then through Sheldon, he knew all the Beatles tunes because of his dad.
Hmm.
And then Sangeet had an amazing sense of uh, melodic pop sensibility mixed with he was trained in Hindustani music as well,
Hmm.
and classical piano. So he also brought in a very unique blend of music.
Yeah.
So I think just all three of us being there at that time together, bringing all our influences in, gave us a wide palette of music to listen to and to play and learn.
So rehearsals were happening where at that time the den was there or where you practice?
No, no, no. Well, Dan has a great story. Before that, Dad used to have a room in a studio called Audiophile on Pali Hill.
Okay.
So he had a kind of a dedicated room for himself. So I used to house my drum kit there. Of course, Dad's keyboards were there, and we used to jam over there and practice over there. And then I think that shut down. And then 2002, 2003, I think we always had the studio was a garage. It was just a storeroom, garage room
Hmm.
with stuff in there. And then okay, since we don't have the studio room anymore, we kind of said okay, let's use this. No air conditioner. There was an air conditioner, didn't work.
Yeah.
The, there was no soundproofing. We had to just double door the place. The we used to use where the wire used to always be either worked or didn't work.
Hmm.
And we've rehearsed there with no AC, sweating our asses off.
Wow.
But we spent a lot of time in there, to a point where like okay, this is not working out anymore. Then I had to move my drums to my room with a bed sheet on top, and go through all the stuff that a lot of people go through coming up playing their instrument when it's not a
Right.
you don't have a convenient yeah. And then once the home studio thing started to become a big deal, Dad and I decided, okay, might as well set up our own kind of. We'll break down this garage and build a proper home studio setup, and that's
Right.
when the den opened, and I started my double shift productions out of there.
Awesome. So there's one thing, which I realize that there's so much, whenever I talk to people, we are mostly discussing a lot of success, like how you are right now, and you have reached such great levels as a session musician, as a live musician. You're the first call for so many people. I want to ask you about any of your failures that you remember that taught you a lot. Is there anything that comes to your mind, or have you been hitting sixers all the time?
Oh no, I don't think I'm hitting sixes at all.
Really?
I'm just happy. Yeah, I whenever I play a gig, I'm just happy that I played the gig correctly, and the guys I'm playing with or whoever hired me is happy with that, because I know that tomorrow night I can do better than I did tonight. So I'm never hitting sixes. To me, I'm like, okay, yeah, better nights than others, but As long as I nail that gig, I'm just hoping that the guy who I'm playing for is happy with the way the music has come out. So
Hmm.
that's my main priority. But I can tell you two instances that really slap me in the face as far as an experience goes.
Hmm.
One was the Siemens company decided to do a big 150 year or 50, I'm not sure how many years, celebration in India about Siemens
Hmm.
company in India.
Right.
And they decided, let's do a fusion concert and we'll bring two cultures together. So, and they're kind of, the guys in the company are jazz fans. So they said, let's get a big band from Germany and we'll set it up with some Indian musicians in Mumbai, in India.
Huh.
We did a 3 city tour. And of course, Dad was called to be the MD for that, for the Indian group for that set.
Right.
And it was big band music. So of course I've heard Buddy Rich and all that stuff, but I've never ever experienced a big band in my life before that.
And how old were you at
And
this
it's
time?
this must be 2004 or 5, I think.
Okay.
Between that 2003, 2004, 2005 period, long ago. And um, yeah, so first rehearsal, we got these big charts, big band charts. I've done reading. I did reading before that, but I've never read on a gig like that.
Yeah.
And first rehearsal, I remember our first concert was at NCPA, Jamshed Baba, and we had 3 rehearsal at St. Andrews Auditorium. So it was pretty big scale gig.
Yeah.
And I remember on more than one of the tunes, I was always ending a quarter note before or a quarter note after the band.
Oh man.
And that was like, phew. And for a drummer, it's very noticeable.
Yes.
So I mean, and we played those three rehearsals. I got better every rehearsal, and we played 3 shows, so I got better in every show. But that was like a big hit, like wake up call for me to, okay, this is what it is, this is what it takes. And like I managed to get through that gig, but I remember when on the first rehearsal, it was a tough one, really tough one for me.
That's interesting. So you all.
And the second experience I had, which was really an eye opener, was playing with the Bombay Chamber Orchestra, playing like with a classical music
Hmm.
orchestra to understand how a conductor counts in and where's the downbeat. Even there at the first 2 rehearsals, I was like ending an eighth note before and eighth note after, just not really feeling, because we're so used to in like the contemporary music world to feel metronomical
Hmm.
time, and especially being experienced with fusion music and Carnatic music, the way it moves
Right.
so precise. But there's a certain ebb and flow in classical music, so how to follow the and I used to think that we're so used to the downbeat
Yeah.
that when his baton
And
was
you'll go
down, I thought that
dash.
was one. No, that was the one and one. So I was like, man, it was cool. And by the orchestra gig, my reading was pretty decent. So I'm like, I'm reading it correctly, but why the hell am I late or early?
Yeah. So I.
So yeah, those are two instances I remember that were like,
That's interesting. Because I also always used to wonder why, are people playing a game with the conductor? Because the conductor is going to go like this and nothing's going to happen. And then suddenly everything's going to like boom. Because he's showing you before what you have to do.
it's
And
far out.
and they are geniuses, of course. But I always saw them a little too early. And they're so excited, like, let's kill it. And the band does nothing. But then they go like, it's just a whole another trip altogether.
Hey, yeah, it's another space, another space.
So, Gino, you're endorsing like tons of brands right now, a lot of them. And did you always, was it your strategy? Was it your business plan? Did brands come to you or did you approach them?
Um, when I was coming up and I started to kind of break into the scene as this guy who is like, firstly, the first thing was always when I first came out was, oh, Louis Banks' son.
Hmm.
That's the first thing.
Hmm.
and the second thing is, oh, how does he play? You know, and when word started to spread that okay, this guy can play decent drums, the companies started to take interest in artists at that time.
Hmm.
So the timing for me coming into the scene where companies were wanting to kind of get involved with artists was in India, especially in India, was like perfectly timed.
Right.
So, uh, and also I'm a drum nerd. I'm a music nerd, but I'm a drum set nerd. I mean, I know names and parts of drum kits that people don't know exist. Okay, so I'm heavily into gear,
Yeah.
especially drum gear, heavily. Okay, so so I think my knowledge of that side of things, my interest in that was very high, along with the playing, of course, and making music, and the timing of companies coming in here. So I think everything just aligned for that, and people just asked me.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate to have associations with Mukesh Bhargava for Musicians Mall. He gave me my first Tama drum kit deal.
Right.
And Anthony Gomes has been very supportive right from the beginning. And he got me on with Evans Drumheads, I remember, and then Siljan Cymbals.
Hmm.
And then Vijesh Bhargava, known for many years. I bought my first Tama drum kit from Bhargava's music, Vijesh and Ashish. And they got me involved with vinyl cymbals.
Right.
So having relationships with Anthony, Joseph, Chris, and then Mukesh, Sudhir, and then Jasbir, and then Brijesh, Ashish, all the local music distribution guys who bring all these instruments to India.
Hmm.
It's a people industry, so it's a people's relations, you right? So being associated with all these guys and being so heavily into what I'm doing,
Hmm.
it just the timing worked out for me. I think at the time I was coming up, and the time these guys wanted young artists as well as the seniors, but getting young new artists in who kind of people were checking out to be involved with product. So I think it was just good timing for me to just be around where people asked me to endorse products.
But never, you never had to kind of run after a brand, talk to them, hey, that I can, kind of promote your product and take responsibility of kind of promoting your product or whatever it is. You've done that ever?
I'm trying to think. Uh, I think Steve Smith recommended me for Wickford,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to think back. Did I ask him to do it, or did it come up in conversation and then he kind of just did it?
Mm.
So, and that is something that I think came out of me putting it forth. So I think with Wickford that happened, and then actually my switch to ProMark drumsticks was something that I wanted to kind of change.
Okay.
So to be under like just I needed a change. I needed something different, and ProMark was the ideal change for me. And also being involved with ProMark drumsticks and Evans drumheads, both under Diodario, made a lot of sense.
Right.
And I like the products a lot. So comfortable with them now. So yeah, maybe that. And but otherwise with Pearl drums, Audix microphones, Meinl cymbals, and Meinl also actually was a choice change. That was a
Okay.
choice change. The offer was open, and I kind of chose Meinl from there. And through Meinl cymbals, Meinl percussion happened. Stealth Sonics happened recently,
Yeah.
and shout out to Stealth Sonics and Audix microphones
Yeah, they're great
for
in
this
ears,
gear.
man. I mean, you gave a
Yeah,
pair to me to
you
use.
use them.
Yeah, it was
The
fantastic.
same one I'm wearing right now.
Pretty cool. So,
Great.
has there been a time when you would hear things like, hey man, Gino got ahead in life because he had this privilege of his dad working in the industry and he could do all this because of his dad? Have you heard a lot of that? And how did you react to it when you would hear it, or do you still hear it?
I don't know if I don't recall hearing it directly, but I'm sure it was there. I'm sure. And at the end of the day, you can come from anybody, but you have to prove yourself.
Yeah,
You have to
which
prove
you
yourself.
have done definitely.
Uh, and the thing is, if I was playing with dad, working with dad, and only working with dad, and not getting called to play with anybody else, then that would say something else. But to kind of develop your own voice, I'm very lucky that I'm playing another instrument than him. That's a like, if I played piano, man, the pressure would have been huge, huge.
You felt pressurized though that you have to perform well and all that.
No, but that's because of dad's attitude and how he is as a person.
Hmm.
You know, he was never strict about this. He was never forceful about anything, and he's a giving, patient man. So even with me, but I was so into it that he didn't have to say anything about it. So I just always wanted to enhance the music as much as possible, and I know his music so well. I mean, I've listened to it my whole life. So there was no pressure. It was always fun. I mean, it's always fun playing with him. He's a mind blowing piano player. So,
A great
you
person
know,
altogether.
I mean, he's dad, but he's a mind blowing piano player. Yeah. So,
That's interesting. So, I mean, just spending time with him, uh, not as a musician, but as a father. He, whatever other talks I've heard of you talking about him is that he's somebody who creates environments. He'll create an environment, put a piano around you, put a trumpet around you, put a drum kit, and then he'll see that things are evolving and you're getting inclined toward one instrument or the other instrument. So, but of course, as you're saying that there is this thing that you are into it, and it's something that everybody doesn't have. You know, sometimes you're playing an instrument, but you're not into it. You make a practice routine. You make it a liability. You kind of suffer. You don't feel like doing it so many times, so many days, so many weeks sometimes. So, is this something that whole discipline that you evolved, not evolved, but like the discipline itself, was it something that you practiced? You slowly developed that you could spend 8 hours practicing, that you could, and not just like passively, but actively getting involved with other people and doing it? Or was it like, okay, I'm going to do this, I love it too much, and it was all natural to you?
I would love to say discipline, but no, I liked it. I liked it so much that I just did it a lot. And I there's a difference between practicing and just playing your instrument, right? And it's important to do both. Like when you're playing something you know well, you're not practicing to an extent, you're not learning something new. You're playing what you already know. So I used to do a lot of playing, just having fun and exploring what I knew. And that I stumbled upon something that, oh, I can't play this. Okay, let me work on this now. And then I would practice something. Then again, I would kind of freeform it and play a little bit and then come up with something that's like, oh, shucks, okay, I can't play this now. Let me practice this now. And I practiced it till I got it, basically. So I had that determination to get it and work as much as I could till I got it. So I just love doing it. And the more I got stuff, the more fun it became. The more I could execute cool things, the more fun it became. So once I understood that, wow, I could achieve this, it's possible. And I always believe no matter how great another person plays, if another human being can do it, you can do something
Hmm.
equivalent. May not be the same thing, but it's something equivalent. So if you just work hard enough, you can do it.
So sometimes what happens is that there's this whole thing of that you should be versatile, for example, right? And you are a very versatile drummer, you play all styles of music. Then there's a point that um, there's a style of music, like you're talking about being into it so much, you loved it so much, you are doing self analysis all the time, figuring out, hey, I can't do this, let me figure this out. And it excites you, it challenges you, it brings happiness when it's done, right? But then there are things that apparently you're supposed to do to be versatile. I want to hear your take on that. Should people step into territories they are not enjoying? Let's say you're not enjoying playing jazz music, you're not enjoying the whole process of even listening to it, but you're supposed to do it because you want to be a versatile drummer or a versatile musician. What's your take on that? What should people who are feeling like that do? are supposed to do?
Um, People will always practice what they like, right?
Hmm.
And people will practice something they don't like, but they know that it's going to get them somewhere where they like,
Hmm.
right? So you have to have a realization. Like I tell students, I talk to some students, especially the ones who are serious about drumming, is like you gotta learn jazz 4-way coordination and comping and song form and stuff like that. I said you don't have to be a jazz drummer. You just need to learn the technique behind that and the theory behind that,
Hmm.
because that applies to anything. So use it as a means to enhance your playing in stuff you like.
Okay.
No one's telling you to become a jazz bassist, jazz drummer, or jazz piano player. Use that information to enhance what you like.
Okay.
You know, it can only make it better. Now, if you want to become a death metal musician, that's a whole other extreme discipline.
Right.
You know, so and most of the time, if you realize, a lot of musicians who are very stuck up on learning one style, no problem if they can, succeed in that. Later on in life, they start kind of digging other musics as well. So um, it's if somebody advises you and you take their advice, it's good to do. It'll only enhance. It's like reading music. If you don't read music and you play great, it's fine as long as you can execute what you need to execute.
Right.
But if you read music, it's going to enhance your playing and your work, basically.
And you spend a lot of time trying to read. That's one thing that people kind of get a lot of boredom out of, that, oh shit, there's reading and I can play faster, but I can't read. When I'm reading, I can't play. Did you spend a lot of conscious time trying to improve that skill of yours?
It's because I taught a lot. That's why my reading is decent.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a phenomenal sight reader. I can read music. Uh, Unfortunately, we are not in a work position where our work requires us to read serious kind of notation every day or in
Hmm.
every gig.
Hmm.
Very few artists gives us fully written out notation charts on the gig, right? Very few.
Almost
Um,
once a year kind of a situation, actually.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I get charts from dad. Dad writes, of course, and Sanjay Devecha writes.
Yeah.
By the way, Sanjay asked me to tell you what's the state of the Punjabi music scene these days. Anyway, we'll come back to that later. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, Sanjay has a new tune. He'll bring in the chart, and we'll kind of go through it with the chart. Dad writes all the time. Um, but we do not have a work scenario where we get given charts.
Hmm.
So obviously, reading is not going to be a priority because musicians, in when you're getting paid to play, are not in a
Yeah.
situation to read music. That's not happening. So they'll say, "Why do I have to read music?"
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
So it's the work environment that has kind of hampered this reading situation. I can read decently is because I teach, and I teach from a lot of books. And in order for me to learn a lot of that stuff to be able to teach it well, I need to be well versed with that. So that helped my reading. And because that helped my reading, there was a phase during the Blue Frog
Yeah.
days where Sheldon and I were called upon to play with quite a few artists as a rhythm section. Even though there may not be a rehearsal and we met at soundcheck, or there was just one rehearsal, we were sent. Most of the foreign musicians that come down to play,
Hmm.
most of them come with
Right.
charts. Most of them. So having the knowledge to read really helped in those situations where we could last minute learn the music, execute the songs, and perform the gig.
It's pretty cool.
So having that skill set opens up many more doors for you to do stuff. And on a world stage, yeah, reading music is a very, very important skill set to have.
Have you ever?
So even if you don't go through it in a actual work scenario where there's no charts, I'm sure people make their own charts for the gigs they are
Right.
on. You know, but get music sheets and kind of just practice yourself.
Right. Have you ever considered kind of having another parallel career abroad, like spending a few months outside, playing there, gigging there, and then coming back to India, working here? Have you ever thought about doing that?
I think about that quite a bit actually. And whenever I think, okay, this is the time I'm going to do it, I get busy here.
Hmm.
And as a working musician, you want to be busy. And so, yeah, it's something that if I've got the right musicians to play with, I'm trying to kind of, even though I do work in Bollywood in the recording space in
Mm-hmm.
Bollywood music, and I get the opportunity to play with A.R. Rahman and subbing for Ranjit Barot.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my work is in Indian classical fusion, Carnatic or Hindustani or jazz rock music. So basically, I'm more lenient, and my choice of work is more in the improvised music space.
Right.
So I would really like to do more of that around the world with a lot of great musicians around the world. Yes.
And there's one more thing that I was talking to you about one day. You were saying that, hey, this month I have 18 gigs and I'm playing everything by memory. So I'm a little like, my brain is all over the place. Something you developed over time, or how did you develop that to remember so much music? Or I've never seen you with a chart. I mean, most of the times, 90% of the times, actually.
Yeah, I like to remember the music, and when I know the music once, I kind of I don't have to look at the chart again. I think it's I grew up with this kind of musical retention,
Hmm.
I would say. I as a kid, I remember in dad's car listening to an audio cassette of Chick Corea Electric Band. You know, there's an album called Beneath the Mask. We used to have the CD, and then John McLaughlin Heart of Things album,
Huh.
and you know, stuff like this. And I used to listen to it so much that I could just remember all the parts,
Right.
like what the guitar lick was, what was the saxophone melody, what was the piano solo stuff happening, what is the form of the song, obviously what the bass and drums are doing. I used to remember everything. And then later on, I heard Dream Theater and I heard 23-minute songs. And I got so taken up by that. And I used to listen to it so much that I knew each part of those songs.
Hmm.
So I think just being so wanting, enjoyed it so much, wanting to know what was going on, and just retaining all that information helped me as a working musician to retain song form and parts memory wise.
No, I'm always telling others like when Kush was writing his music, I was playing bass with you in the den, and it's just that he has never played you the chorus of a song, and you're already kind of into it, and you already know what it's going to be like and what it's going to sound like, and you're ready to play. So I'm always joking around that Gino knows all the songs, the ones which are written and the ones which are not written yet. He already knows them. Always telling everybody like that he's going to play before you your own song that you haven't played to him ever. He's going to play the right thing that you tried to program there, and tell him that, hey, let's play this. Or he's going to change it around in a way that you would have never imagined. Gino, one thing I notice is that you spend a lot of time. I don't know if you spend a lot of time, but your social media presence, your internet presence is very organized. It's kind of, I can always almost use the word heavy, that you are religiously everywhere promoting things. Do you find it too engaging, taking too much of your time, attention, or do you have a strategy for it that if I do this, I'm going to post it? Or do you post freely whenever you want, you check social media freely whenever you want?
No, I look at it as it's a very integral part of our business right now.
Hmm.
Super integral part of our business. And I know there are marketing teams out there that do the job for you, or you know, kind of want to get more likes and views. But excuse me, I was very conscious of how I want to be portrayed online,
Hmm.
and what I'm putting out and what I want to say about it. And you know, I'm kind of want to control that information
How
and
long
that
ago you
content
decided that you wanted a very organized portrayal of
from
your
the beginning,
profession?
from the time I kind of started it, you know.
Hmm.
And my understanding of how this works has evolved, and I may not be the best guy to get like get go like stuff like viral and stuff like that, but I want to have quality content either from a video point of view, audio point of view, or just what is happening in the music or in what I'm talking about or playing, to be of something of value
Right.
and something that'll not disappear, and people can always come back to it and gain something from it. So so I looked at it as a very integral part of our business. How is anybody going to know what I'm doing if I don't put it out there?
Right.
And we are, I mean, if we are playing music for people, we are performing for people to enjoy. And I've always had the thought of, if I record something or shoot something and put it out there, it's not for me anymore, it's for everybody else to see. And I played the best that I could for that time. And of course, after that, I can improve myself. But I need to keep putting stuff out there. It's important. Who knows who will gain something from it, hopefully. And then, and at some times, yes, I did think that maybe I'm doing a bit too much,
Hmm.
or maybe I'm getting a little fed up of this right now.
Right.
Why, maybe I'm putting a bit too much effort into this when I can put it somewhere else, maybe.
Hmm.
And then I kind of saw a Virgil Donati interview about how he goes on the road, records his gigs, multi-track, or stereo his laptop, recording proper audio feed,
Hmm.
shooting, working on the audio, mixing it, pasting it to the video, and posting it as a 1 minute clip on Instagram. If a man like him at his level is taking that effort to do stuff like that to put out to people, I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I need to do and improve as I go. And
Right.
it helps me engage with people directly with no middleman. So yeah, I think that's right now I'm at that point. And
And
during this lockdown, I mean, now where this is all we have.
constant engagement, does it interrupt your focus when you're trying to practice, or when you put your phone aside, you just put it aside, or your notifications aside? When you're practicing, you're just practicing, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. When I'm practicing, I'm just practicing. So when I'm on the phone, I kind of check every facet of all of these things and make sure, and then also kind of plan ahead. It helps me plan ahead of what I need to do and stuff like that. So putting out stuff that I think I want people to see, or maybe put out stuff that um, I really want to do and kind of showcase that.
Yeah.
And also working with different musicians. I mean, before it was making an album and putting it out, but I'm not so kicked about the album thing. I think it's better that musicians play music and record a video and put it out. I think that people are more engaged with the video.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I still have some music coming out on Apple Music and Spotify and stuff like that, just audio.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see the reaction to just the audio without the video.
I think Spotify is now it's going to be the next. It's already the biggest audio platform of the world, but for India, I think it's just something that people are really switching over to very fast. So it's a good place to be.
Yeah, but it's just streaming. You can't buy the music like on Apple Music or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
just streaming.
I hear they're going to start some video thing next year.
Oh, really?
But that I'm saying that because Joe Rogan is switching to Spotify from YouTube, and I was hearing another talk about that where somebody was saying that they're going to start video either just for Joe Rogan, or Spotify is going to get into this video kind of a platform.
They'll probably test it out with Joe Rogan, and if everything goes well, they'll open it up for everybody.
Well,
I think.
it's a 100 million deal, so they have to get it right, I'm sure. So
See, now that's some content that I need to work on.
yeah, I mean, he's pretty cool guy, one of my favorites. Just a
Great
fantastic guy.
interviews. Great interviews. Yeah.
Great, the best, just the best. So when people are putting out content, there's one thing of you record, you feel it's not perfect, it's not good enough, I'm not going to put it out. You do it once, you do it twice, you do it thrice, maybe sometimes you feel it's just not for me, I don't play well enough, and I'll just let this thing be. Did you face those hurdles when you're trying to put content out for the first time?
Maybe I one the I was not so kicked. I was not concentrating so much on the content because, uh, like I said, I very rarely plan something perfectly that I'm going to play this and then plan this content and play this. I improvise. So I just go for it. And whatever happens, happens. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I'm, you can see that I'm trying to kind of nail something, but maybe I'm not executing it perfectly. But that is what improvising is also in the moment. So I kind of let that be, let that go. The only thing I felt that, yeah, maybe the video and audio quality of what I was doing is not what it should be on a world class. Is something I'm constantly trying to work on. But I'm okay with the content. And also, honestly, you don't have to be the fastest gun in the West to play the most ridiculous thing to get online. You just got to play something that sounds good, feels good, resonate with people in any way possible, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of people have insecurities in general about putting stuff out at all. I know a lot of musicians have a lot of music but don't put out anything. I don't know, maybe it's because they want the first album to come out and be Thriller. I don't know. But it's it's you gotta work up towards that, right? Not, the first thing is not gonna blow people away. You gotta work at it, and you need to test the waters. You need to put out stuff. It's important. If you have something to say and you want to say it but afraid of what people might think about it, I think you're doing a disservice.
Yeah, that's true. Do people write shit to you sometimes when you put out something? And how do you feel about it? How do you react to that?
I've got some comments on YouTube saying, I don't remember anything specifically, but yeah, there are some comments that were like, "What is going on?" Like not really, not any comment that is flattering to me.
So
But
how does that make you feel?
okay, it's okay if somebody's taken the time out to write something bad. They've taken the time out to check it out and type something.
It's true. Doesn't bother you much, right?
No, 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 it's okay.
Just gotta keep going. So,
Exactly.
so any new music you're saying that you've already recorded all that you're mentioning that's going to come out on Spotify?
Yeah, I just kind of put out something. Dad has a group called the Guitar Synergy, Louis
Yeah.
Banks Guitar Synergy, and we recorded a song called Leap of
Leap of
Faith.
Faith. Yeah.
Yeah, so that features Kush Upadhyay and Rhythm Shaw on guitar, two guitar players, and Mohini Day on bass. And we've been recording these songs for a while. We've been playing gigs over the last years now. I mean, we played gigs when I think Kush was, I mean, they were all below 21, if I remember correctly. All these three cats. But we've been playing this music over the last 3 years, and we've put down tracks. And this is the first one that was probably first actually mastered recently. So I thought it's a good time to kind of put out this music, and it's a full-on guitar-heavy jazz rock track called Leap of Faith. So that's out on Apple Music and Spotify and YouTube Music as well. And there's something that I haven't advertised yet, but it's out, and I'm going to kind of push it soon. Is a song I did with Sharmishta Chatterjee, fantastic singer, and she wrote the lyrics in Bengali, and it's a song called Circles. And I had this music written for me to kind of do my drum thing on, and I felt that it had space for some lyrics and a nice vocal section. So Sharmishta was kind enough to write some lyrics and sing on the song. So That's called Circles, and that's also available on all streaming services. So if you're listening right now, you can check it out, and I'll also push it a bit next week online. So just look out for that.
When you're playing with Zakir ji, Dave Holland, and dad, of course, your dad, Sanjay is there, and all you're touring the states. What is your feeling like when you're given a solo section? Do you feel any amount of nervousness, excitement, or you feel that you might be a little, you might play something that might be like a little out for these guys who are experienced, maybe 30 years more than you, things like that. You feel anything specific when you're around people who are much more on a different plateau altogether, actually, where when it comes to music or experience or life?
All of the above.
Mm.
Like I said, all of the above. Everything that you said, all those feelings are there.
But you still play. You get courage and you just.
You have you have to play. You have to play. I mean, I was fortunate to be part of two tours with Cross Currents,
Yeah.
and uh, Zakir ji is very kind, warm, and I mean, super human being. So he makes you feel part of the group, like you're one of the guys. And having Dad, Sanjay, and Sean there was like, I still had home with me.
Yeah.
And I mean, playing with Dave Holland was really experience, but he's such a nice man, and I mean, he was very generous and kind and encouraging. Same with Chris Potter too, and we had Ganesh Rajagopalan also sitting on a few shows. I was just, I needed to play the music, be sensitive, and uh, react accordingly with the right intensity, and it was one of the biggest learning experience.
The gig, Cross Currents gig. Can you see me?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's.
I mean, there was a huge. I I can hear you. I can see you now.
Okay, good.
I mean, the first tour was hard for me. It was really hard.
Hmm.
Many factors, many factors. I mean, first time doing a tour like that in the States, um, and that was a flight tour, so we had to I mean, fly. We did maybe like 10 shows in 12 days,
Hmm.
so that was pretty crazy. But I learned a lot from that. And the second tour, I hope I was much better prepared and much more confident to play with these giants, and super learning experience.
So all these people, like when you think of Zakir ji, you think of your dad, Dave Holland, Chris Potter, Reza specifically mentioned. He's like, he wrote it in caps on the live chat right now. And so there's this thing about everybody that there's every individual is an entire universe when they enter a room, and there's this whole feeling of their existence that you feel immediately. When you're playing drums, there is this persona that you bring to stage. I know musicians who play well, who sound good, who sound correct, but are non existent also. What do you think creates that difference between people that one person has so much existence, so much presence that you can see them even if they're not playing too much? And then there are these people who can play everything for you but are almost, sometimes non existent on the stage.
Intention, intent,
Hmm.
why they're playing what they're playing,
Hmm.
how invested are them into what they're playing, even if it's one note. You know,
Right.
people talk about less is more. BB King over John Petrucci, for example. Petrucci plays machine gun riffs. BB King plays one note,
Right.
and the guys say, "Man, that one note has so much more weight."
Hmm.
No, it doesn't. I can hear all the notes Petrucci is playing, and it has a lot of weight.
Hmm.
So it's just perspective. It's the intent. The reason they're doing it, their intentions are different, but they intend something. So the intent that you have, the involvement that you have, and the investment you have in that moment to create something and play something is what the masters are completely in the moment, creating things and reacting spontaneously in the moment decisions at the right time. So
Hmm.
I think it's the intent you have at that point in time. People may play correctly, but their intention may not be fully vested into what they're doing at that point in time. So it doesn't reach out on a spiritual level or a level above actually just playing the music.
And what happens when you're doing a session uh, that you're doing for, let's say, monetary reasons or finances or just for money? And do you kind of drive it in that I have to put some intent in? What happens in those scenarios?
So that, see, the versatility thing comes into that kind of work, right?
Hmm.
Now, if I go in and if I'm playing a song that has, uh, I remember one bizarre session. I think it was Sachin Jigar's session where we were playing kind of together in the studio. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Rushad was there on bass. Um, we were playing a song called Pussycat,
Hmm.
and it was like a kind of very simple song that kind of ramped up in tempo, and um, you have to basically execute the song exactly the way it should be and
Hmm.
what is required of you to do that. And now that evokes a different kind of intent, a different kind of mindset or feeling.
Hmm.
So the key thing to that, to delivering on a versatile level, is to be able to vary what kind of intent you're putting out, but to intend something. So there's no one kind of intent. So every musical situation requires you to put in some kind of investment. So emotional investment, apart from just playing the part, because that's what makes it special. The
Right.
fairy dust on top of the part. So I think uh, I kind of get into a mindset for that job and try and kind of evoke something emotionally so that I can intend a certain feeling to make this part extra special and make it sound the best that it can sound for that song.
And you're mostly doing Bollywood studio sessions, not you're not playing live much. Is there a reason for that, that you don't play many live Bollywood gigs?
Uh, I like playing improvised music.
Hmm.
So the more opportunities I get to play live improvised music is something that I've kind of concentrated to do a lot more of.
Hmm.
And fortunate enough to be a part of acts and bands and play with artists that do that kind of music. So, from a live performance point of view, that took up a lot of my time.
Right.
And between that and working and teaching at the School of Performing Arts, NMIMS, kind of filled up my time
Hmm.
between doing anything like that. But I've played a couple of gigs with SEL,
Right.
Shankar Ehsan Loy. That's because I have a long time association with Shankar, Ehsan, and Loy. I've known them for many years since I was a kid. So that's a different kind of vibe for me. And like I said earlier, subbing for Ranjit Barot with A.R. Rahman is a cool gig to play because I mean it's a large scale production.
Right.
So being part of that show is pretty phenomenal. To be just to just see how everything works at that level is a fantastic setup.
So for a lot of musicians, the journey what it happens to become is that to find one regular gigging Bollywood band and parallelly do their craft, whatever they want to do. They want to do improvised music. They want to run another band. It's like that. But for you, it wasn't like I want to find that one Bollywood band. You were pretty clear, right, from the beginning that I want to play improvised music. This is what I do the best.
The reason people find their for the sake of Bollywood, let's call it pop music, right? Anything that's popular.
Yeah.
The idea is to get a gig that'll help you sustain yourself financially,
Hmm.
right? Some people, if that's your music that you dig and you're playing that music far out, I mean, that's like an ultimate situation, is always to play the music you enjoy listening to and playing, and you kind of get to do that for a living. That's the ultimate goal for most
Yeah.
musicians, if not all.
But many people are mostly complaining while they're playing these gigs also. Same time.
I know, but that's probably the nature of the business, because Bollywood and pop music in general is, I would say, 90% music
Right.
business, right? And when you got business, then it's not, everything's not going to be all hunky dory,
But it's
of
also that
course.
sometimes the singers are really involved and the band is like they're hey, we are doing it for the money, not for the music. So I don't get it sometimes. I mean, I wonder about it. Like,
I know, but not everybody has the choice. Not
hmm,
everybody has the choice, and you have to find your footing in a situation where I need to make a living playing. I need to make a living, period. Now, how do I do that?
hmm,
Do I play music I like and find a way to make finance from another avenue?
right,
Or do I kind of play as much as I can and make the money come from playing live or recording in a studio? And when you lock on a gig that the artist is happy with your playing and they retain you for all their gigs, you got something steady where you're getting a stream of finance coming in regularly.
right.
Now it is up to you how invested you are in your music and your art form and your playing, and the reason why you started playing when you were 12 or 15 or 20 years old.
Hmm,
How do you keep that alive? How do you keep that burning? So that is kind of key to your kind of well-being and happiness on a on the musical side of things.
hmm,
And the work gig that you're doing is either you're going to play a gig that you may not dig the music, but that's paying your bills,
right,
or are you gonna not play music you don't like and get a job in a way where you can get some finance coming in?
right,
So I think that's the balance that most musicians are kind of trying to do.
right. But in your case,
Yeah,
you chose to stick to your dreams, which were playing improvised music as much as possible. And as you said, the NMIMS thing is taking care of the rest of the stuff if needed. And of course, they kind of balance each
it's
other out.
it's NMIMS is kind of a, because it's a college degree level course.
Right.
It has given me a platform to teach advanced material.
Hmm.
And I used to teach heavily for many years, and I stopped teaching because I started to lose a little bit of patience with the basics
Huh.
in teaching people regularly,
Hmm.
the basics and the foundational stuff. So when this opportunity arose, I was like, okay, now this is somewhere where I can explore some advanced stuff and set a course for over 6 semesters, and have a very involved, in-depth drumming course. So, from a teaching point of view, this is an ideal platform for me to teach what I want to teach.
And you were
And it kind of balances me out in a way where, uh, when I'm not too busy doing the gigs or going out for sessions, I invest a lot of time in the school.
That's pretty cool. And you're also the advisor there, right? What's that role like? What does the advisor do? Uh,
Uh, well, I kind of started out uh, on, on an advisor level with them before they kind of even opened up.
hmm.
And the trick with this is I'm kind of wanting to maintain a level of musicianship in the faculty. Basically, that's my goal, is to have the faculty be extremely strong musicians in their own right, as well as be great teachers. So that combination is a very hard combination to find. So I want to kind of keep the team as strong as possible from a teaching point of view as well as a performance point of view, because the students need to be inspired.
Yeah.
Students will practice, they will work hard if they are inspired
Right.
by a person who's teaching them, you know and it's very rare to find great teachers who are great performers as well.
Yeah.
That's a rare combination. So, and I think the team we have right now is pretty phenomenal as far as the combination goes.
Yeah.
Majority of them are great. I mean, really highly skilled performers
Yeah.
and can teach.
Yes.
So I'm trying to keep it together and make sure that we can sustain this
Right.
situation. And honestly, because see, the students coming in, the way the program is set up is, if you just look at the information all the students are getting, they should all come out as super musicians, because if I'm gonna be doing rhythm training with them, the singers are going to be coached by Vasundhara, Gina, and then they're getting an ensemble experience to play with Sheldon,
Right.
and then having composition and arranging with Clement, and then piano with Rahul, guitar you got Chandesh and Sinjay, you got Anna and Sibelius, you got like I mentioned Clement, then Achal is there, Varun is teaching them African music, Emmanuel's teaching
Bananas.
them. I mean, yeah, I mean, these are all great musicians, and they're working musicians. They all go out and play gigs.
Yeah.
They're in the business, and they're teaching you. I mean, it's a this is kind of what I want to make sure stays and works, because this is a very rare group of people together working. So as a student, you have access to all these guys teaching you everything. So I think it's a pretty special program, provided we sustain it for a long time.
Yeah. That's true. So, in terms of vision of being where you are at right now in life, uh, as a musician, the gigs you are playing, was this something you had from the beginning itself, or did it evolve over time that these are the things I want to do in life, and this is the kind of drummer I want to be for the rest of my life?
the the thing to play with all kinds of artists in all kinds of genres at the highest level is something I always had
Hmm.
in my early days as well. Because I mean, I was a big fan of Van Halen, Metallica, Steve Vai, Satriani, and I was a big fan of Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, John McLaughlin, and I'm a big fan of U2, uh, Phil Collins, Sting, and big fan of Afro-Cuban music, big fan of rap music. So I was just like, I want to be involved in all of these musics with the best artists in these styles.
Right.
So, and I, in India, at least, I've kind of performed or been associated with most of the kind of known groups in all the styles of music.
Hmm.
I think so. Getting an opportunity to work with the Soulmate and Blackstrap Blues for the Mahindra Blues Festival and stuff like that
Hmm.
was pretty cool experience to kind of just play blues
Yeah.
music, for example, and then play jazz festivals, play rock festivals, play fusion classical festivals.
Hmm.
It's something that I always had that I wanted to accomplish. So my dream is still the same. I kind of just want to do it on a larger scale around the world, I
Okay.
think.
It's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. And
One, I forgot one piece of music that is also out, which is the band Merkaba
Merkaba.
with Vasundhara and Sanjay Devecha and Sheldon and Rohan. So we have songs coming out, and there's already a song called Good Days available online. So, and stay tuned for a lyric video that Vasundhara is putting out soon. So, that is another project that we're very happy is finally going to come out, because we've had that project for many years now,
Yeah.
and those songs are finally going to come out. So, please check that out too.
That's really amazing hip music, man. I'm really waiting for it to come out actually to share and everything.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what people just think of the audio without the video. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
People need to start listening to music again as opposed to watching music.
Yeah, it used to be a great experience, limited resources, and just learn that music. That's it. That's all you had. So Pranay Gurung, you remember, a guitar player from Delhi? Yeah. So he runs a school called Blue Notes there. and he's from Kalimpong. And what used to great guitar player, right? Like amazing, unbelievable musically, and great human being and everything. And once he was telling the story where they said that in our in Kalimpong, so somebody used to come traveling from outside, or they used to get this one cassette for a specific duration in their town. Now everybody loves music, everybody plays guitar, everybody is into it. So you have time that, hey, take this album, Kind of Blue, and give it to me after 2 days. You want to learn it, you learn it during that time. You want to listen to it, you listen to it, and then it goes to the next guy who wants to listen to it. Because there's no internet, there's
Far
nothing,
out.
that's what it is. And then from there, like he said that I was just asking him about his licks and chops, how it developed. And he was saying that I had this one John Scofield cassette. It came to our town. And then that's when I heard it and I started listening to, I think he was telling about that album on a loop, or Kind of Blue on a loop. So that was the limitation of the value of having limited resources and not having distractions. Like you don't have a video to look at. You just have that. And if you want to really experience it, you got to play it. That's the only way of really experiencing the next level of it. Of course, listening to it is an experience, and then when you play it, then it's another experience altogether, and it makes you, adds more to your qualities as a person, as a musician. Another
Yeah.
teacher we had in Sam, is I forgot his name. So he used to give us transcription homeworks that, hey guys, go and transcribe this particular piece of music and show it to me next week. So a lot of students will show up in the class but will not have the homework done. And he was from Colombia, and he used to get really angry, really mad. And in his accent, he'll say to all of us that, in our times, we had nothing we could rewind, we had nothing we could buy. So the song will come on the radio. If I have to learn the song, I have to immediately jump onto the piano after listening to the song to recall what all was played and quickly make my
Hmm.
notes, and then just wait for the next time whenever it's going to be played next. And whenever it's going to be played next is my next chance to figure out that third line of the first chorus or whatever was
Yeah.
happening. He said that's how we transcribe. And then he was basically scolding all of us that, what is your excuse? You can slow shit
Correct.
down, you can rewind stuff,
Yeah.
and still you're not
Exactly.
learning. You're showing in the class without doing your homework. Where are things for you? Come, and he used to get really, really mad. But I mean, great story he told us. It was fascinating to hear how people have learned. So I think, yeah, I mean, this whole experience
Yes.
of listening, getting involved into that is another joy altogether. Another joy altogether. Gino.
And it's serious listening. It's serious listening. It's not listening to music in the background.
Hmm.
It's like investing yourself, everything, all your senses to listening to the music.
Man, I can't listen to music while doing stuff now. It's just very difficult because if I can't hear it properly, like it's rare that I'll maybe play some reggae music sometimes on some Sunday morning while I'm cooking and it'll play in the background. But
Yeah, yeah,
but otherwise, the
yeah.
moment the music plays, my God, it's almost like it takes all my attention, and it actually helps me subconsciously in gigs now, because the undivided attention that listening gets, it actually gets
Yeah.
translated to the bands immediately. Because when I'm in a situation where I'm playing, it's undivided now. It's not going to be like, hey,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't
It's good.
focused and it wasn't working out because I was thinking of something else, or things like that. Gino, I want to ask you,
That is in the moment. In the
yes,
moment.
that's true.
That's what it is.
There are times, I mean, there's so much you've done, so much you've created, and still you're creating more content. Do you feel stuck at times, saturated, bored? Any of those feelings visit you?
Yeah, I think, well, honestly, I think I haven't done much. I have a lot more to do. I don't think I've done much at all.
That's,
I think there's lots to do.
hmm,
But yeah, and the thing is, you'll always hit saturation points. Like if you're going at it every day, at some point, like I've learned to listen to myself,
hmm.
listen to my body, listen to what I'm feeling. Uh, Sometimes very hard to hear yourself. Sometimes, and uh, listening to yourself, and if your body and your mind is telling you, okay, take a break, take a break. Take a break for a couple of days. Don't listen to music. Don't play your instrument. Just do something else or do nothing
Hmm.
and then come back to it. You always it's literally getting refreshed and you'll come back to it with a lot more enthusiasm, with a lot more passion. Because you can get saturated if you're at it every day.
And how often do you see yourself taking these breaks? Do you take them often, or are they very rare?
Uh, well, once life once forced it on me once when I got really sick.
Hmm.
I got really sick once where I had to be hospitalized and get kind of medication, and the only form of recovery was rest. I had to just rest for 14 days.
Oh man.
That's all I needed to do. And I think life kind of was work. I was playing with everybody. I was not saying no to any gig. I remember I was in Thailand with Purvayan Chatterjee, Ehsan Nurani, Sheldon, and we came back from that gig, and I had a fever running, and it was not going. And then I was rehearsing with Indus Creed, and then playing the next day in Delhi with Indus Creed, subbing for Jay, I think.
Hmm.
And my mom just said take a blood test just to make sure what's going on.
Hmm.
And I had kind of a stomach abscess situation that was causing this fever.
Yeah.
And the only way to uh, get it better was to rest.
Hmm.
So I had overworked myself, not taking care of my health so much, eating and drinking, anything, anywhere. When you're on the road, you have to be kind of careful also what you're eating and drinking.
Hmm.
And so it caught up with me, and I was forced to rest out for 2 weeks. And then I was like, okay, maybe I think I pushed it a bit, and now I need to kind of take a back seat and just look at what I'm doing, pick and choose, and when I feel things are getting a bit much, just to take a break, relax, and then come back to it again.
And that's the break you remember. After that, do you remember taking breaks every now
I
and then?
remember consciously post that I was like not pushing as hard as I used to push, you
Uh,
know, and also taking better care of myself apart from, because sometimes when you're like really into doing what you need to do, you cannot just do that and don't care about anything else.
right.
And I think it's a period musicians have to go through to kind of go the distance, to go above the average level, is you need to kind of have that investment, mm, like everything invested in that, everything.
Yeah.
Because what we do in music, it's an art form, it's not a job, it's not a vocation. Yeah, you're passionate about it, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life.
Hmm.
So we have to kind of find the balance of taking care of ourselves, taking care of the people we are with, as well as doing this in our life. So I think at that point, basically, I was not taking care of anything and just focusing on just playing and music and music and music and music. And I think it tilted a bit too much
Uh,
on that side.
I mean, it happened to me also. There was this time when I started, and it was actually after college when I started actually playing bass properly. And so I also was studying music production that time. So I found a job somewhere in a studio to work and all that. So the owner of the
Yeah.
studio advised to me that, man, you got to work a lot to make something out of yourself. It's a lot of work, so it's not easy. So make sure you develop some stamina. I said, okay, what do I have to do? He said, just work a lot. I work a lot. I said, okay, cool. So because I was 20 or 21, I think, I didn't hear it properly about what he said. I just took it to a very extreme level where I decided, okay, I want to play bass. I'm already late, so I'm going to play a lot. Second, I have to produce music because I don't know why. Maybe this is what I want to do. So I'm experimenting still with life, not able to be,
Yeah.
finding my stream of where I'm gonna, which path I'm gonna take essentially. So I would play in the morning till about 1 or 2 o'clock. Then I'll produce music from 2 till whatever, midnight, mixing and all that. And basically, sleep kind of went from 7, 8 hours to 4 hours to 3 hours. And I continued that for a while. I just decided not to sleep. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm building stamina. And I think about 2 months or something, and when you're 21, your body still can't push through all this.
You
And
can, yes, you can.
and then I just collapsed, man, one day. Like, I had a seizure, and I was in bed for good 6 months. Everything became stiff. And then, of course, the
Wow.
wake up call. From that day onwards, I really started taking care of what I eat, how much I exercise. I mean, it was a serious shock for me to have that
So
happen.
so life kind of forces that on you, right? When you kind of tilt the scale a bit too much to one side.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cool, but it's just that I didn't. Sometimes
Yeah,
there's nobody to advise you, You are experimenting.
exactly.
My parents are not understanding that why so much work. And at that time, when I was spending my years in Delhi working and all that, I didn't even realize the value of my family, my parents, my relations. So it was always
Yeah, yeah,
unbalanced. I was working too much. I was spending less time with family, parents. But now the value I have for them is unreal. Like, I haven't loved them more. And as I'm getting older, it's all coming down to, what we started with is how I feel about something. The more I'm connected to my
exactly.
relations, the better I feel about playing music, the more I can think about stuff, the better I
Yeah,
connect to people. And now the values values have changed now. It's more inclined towards, hey, it's not just about practicing to play faster, but how can I feel more? What is it that this music is making me feel? If it's not making me feel something, I shut it. And it's all interconnected to our relationships, our
yeah, yeah, yeah,
partners, and everything. The way the whole journey
yeah.
goes.
So when you get older, you do get wiser. That's true.
I do feel much calm. I mean, as I'm getting older, I want to get, like, I want to be 45 sooner. You know, I just want to be 50 years old.
Well, I don't know about that.
I
I
mean,
don't know about that, but
it's just this feeling that I haven't felt better ever. The older I'm getting, the more you start filtering the nonsense, right? That, okay, this is not something I need to put my head into, and you have more control over your. I mean, uh, I personally feel I have more control over about my feelings, my where I need to express, where I need to be angry, where I need to be kind, where I need to have empathy. So I feel there's some sort of segregation to that. But earlier, like, you just everything is taking over. Your emotions are taking over your brain, and you're just ready to destroy every situation because you're young. That's why I feel that, older I get, music is getting more, it's embracing you in some other way. Like, I always used to
it
think it's
keeps getting
just,
better when you get older.
yeah, I just used to think
You
it's
keep getting
practice,
better when
practice,
you get
practice, practice, practice. Every day you have to practice, otherwise you become a loser, and saying shit to myself. Stop doing that. Have you said bad things to yourself ever while practicing musically when you're not able to achieve something?
Yeah, I'm sure you go through frustrating times. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I do. I do. More so before than now. Now I'm really working on things as slow as possible right now to play them as slow as possible.
Hmm.
Whatever I can already play, I'm trying to play it at ridiculous tempos, like tempos that you wouldn't even perform live. But it's kind of really kind of tightening it up, really making it breathe and feel good. And then of course I push it to as fast as I can play it. So it's the sound. I'm thinking about the sound that I produce and how I project that sound out to the listener.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the listener, be it a musician or a layman, they're going to react to what sound they hear
Hmm.
and what they're going to feel from that. So nobody cares what scale you're playing, what harmony you're using, what rudiment you're playing. They don't know. They just know, oh, this sounds good or it doesn't sound good. This makes me feel this way. This makes me feel like nothing. And for those who don't feel anything when something is a bit sophisticated, they just haven't developed a palate for it yet in their ears.
Ah. I'm just
Yeah.
reminded of I was listening to Victor Wooten's interview with Mohini last week, and Victor Wooten was talking about something related to dance and groove, and he said this funny statement in the middle. He said that nobody dances to the key of the song. Nobody dances to the key of the song or the scale of the song. Everybody dances to the groove of the song. And you know how he's always kept it on priority, that you have to feel
Rhythm.
time, you have to keep time priority, not notes, nothing else. Do you experience like that you have to change your way of playing drums sometimes when you're playing with different bass players, or do you stick to your thing? You do that a lot?
Yeah, I if I depends how well I know the bass player.
Hmm.
Also, it's what if I know the bass player well, and when I hear the person play, I know that I can sense what kind of vibe that person has, what musical background that person's coming from.
Hmm.
Is he a rock heavy influence player? Is he a fusion heavy influence player? Is he a jazz heavy influence guy? Sorry, does he? Oh, he's got a lot of Latin influence in his playing too.
Hmm.
So I can sense from that, and if he's together or not so together. Like if it's a busy bass player, I will choose to play less drums, especially less bass drum. If he's a simple, less note kind of a bass player, then I can take the liberty to play a lot more bass drum, a lot more notes.
Right.
And either I can go two ways as a rhythm section is to play unison phrasing with him,
Yeah.
or I'll play counterpoint phrasing.
Right.
So, also that depends on the song and the musical situation. But I do adapt my playing to who I'm playing with. I always kind of want to make the guy or girl, whatever instrument they're playing, to make them feel as comfortable as possible, that I'm providing a good foundation for them to play what they need to play.
Is there a way you advise people who are trying to, like a lot of drummers move to Bombay, a lot of other musicians move to Bombay, trying to find work? Do you have any suggestions or advice about how to land into this industry?
The times have changed now, because now, I mean, social media is everything right now,
Hmm.
as opposed to getting seen, giving people, I mean, bios and whatever portfolios and all are online now.
Right.
Everything's online. So, uh, what musicians should do if they don't live in Mumbai and they live elsewhere is to make videos, make record good audio and video quality content and put it out there.
Hmm.
And if you want to look for work, don't share too much with too many drummers. Connect more with, drummers should connect with bass players, guitar players, keyboard players, singers, other musicians, because you're not going to come to Mumbai and play with another drummer.
Right.
Okay, maybe somebody a drummer who's kind of well known, who recommends people. Yeah, maybe that guy. He can kind of help recommend you. But connect with other musicians. And if you do make it to Mumbai, go out to gigs. When gigs start happening again, go out to gigs, watch musicians play, meet them before the gig, meet them in the break, meet them after the gig. You know, you need to interact with musicians and
Hmm.
then share your content online. You Some people have the time, some people don't have the time, but if somebody is looking for somebody and they come across your video and they like what they hear, there's a good chance you'll be called to play a gig.
Then there's more chances, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So uh, play to your strengths, what you do well, put that out there. I mean, you can play 15, 16 over 4/4 in triplets, and that'll be fantastic. But I don't know how many people will hire you for that. If you play a super sweet groove for like 3.5 minutes with great feel and tasty fills, people will hire you for that.
Hmm.
So depending on what you want to, or put, I mean, if you can do both, great, put both videos out, fantastic. So, I mean, you have the platform now to kind of be seen. Before it was not there at all.
That's true. Do you do anything special to develop yourself as a person? You invest time in other things apart from drumming? If yes, what are those things?
Ooh, I
Ooh,
don't.
coffee.
Yeah, that's a problem. I like coffee a lot, and I know we share that.
Yes,
It's over. I know we share that
brothers too.
enthusiasm. Yeah. So, wow, tricky question for me to answer because I would like to have something I do. Well, I spend time with my wife. I spend time with my family.
Hmm.
I meet my friends occasionally. When we could go out and hang out, we go out for dinners, have coffee, do
Right.
those kind of things. Wind down, those kind of things. Um, but yeah, just yeah, spending time with Eden at home, with spending time with my family, with her family. Um, but wow, I wish I could say other nice, fun, creative things, but
No, this
I
is
kind
great,
of
man. I mean, it's just that it lets everybody know that how important these little things are, and they make you who you are, and then that's what you express while you play. That's about it. I mean, it's these things that you do that anybody who comes to you wants to play with you. I don't know if you would have ever said no to anybody. Of course, you have always welcomed people, and if they've been interested in spending time with you or playing with you. I remember when I moved, I mean, you were saying just come anytime you want to play, and I could make it sometimes, sometimes I couldn't. Then I just got busy in my own little world. But it's amazing to see how much you are ready to embrace all kinds of people, and I, I'm sure that a lot of that comes from Uncle also. That the way he has raised you, the way he has, allowed you to be yourself. And today we see such an amazing human being who's so supportive. And I know you just don't like a lot of bullshit around you. If somebody's just bullshitting or making too much noise, you just let it be. But otherwise, I know you're very pro positive struggles, you are pro positive approaches, and you are a true problem solver whenever it comes to anything related to music, and if anybody needs to be connected to anybody. So that definitely, I mean, is one of the biggest things I have learned being around you. And in fact, me and Vasundhara, we talk lot about how you are always this bonding element. And you also just mentioned, like in NMIMS, you're trying to keep everything together, and that place also has its own hurdles sometimes, where if I don't know if you weren't there, a lot of things might have been unbalanced, but because of your presence, it's just it all kind of comes together, and it's running very well, and a lot of people are benefiting from that. You were mentioning that you're about to release something, or you're planning to do a proper online course. Do you want to talk about it at the moment?
yeah, I'm. Uh, Besides NMIMS, I kind of haven't taught much outside of that school.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, due to this lockdown situation, I started an online lesson series last month that I kind of started my first batch,
Mm.
and that went really well. It was something that I really enjoyed doing, and so I'm starting a second batch from June onwards. But I only have like maybe about 14 or 15 seats, and already 10 have gone. So
Mm.
I got about only 4 or 5 seats left for that. So if anybody's interested, they can kind of get in touch with me on Instagram, and we can make that happen. And I'm currently also running the practice pad sessions for group classes for beginner and intermediate levels, and that's going really well because a lot of uh, students or drummers who don't have a drum kit at home
Hmm.
feel that taking a drum set lesson for a couple of days doesn't work out very well for them because they don't have a kit. So I thought might as well put me on a practice pad and let's do a couple of sessions with just from practice pad to practice pad so that they feel that we're all on the same
Right.
plane and what they can do to enhance their playing and their technique just with a practice pad and a pair of sticks during this time.
Hmm.
Because I think the thing that lockdown has given a lot of people is time to actually work on your skill set with no excuses.
Yeah.
Really, no excuses. Because we all have time right now to do that. So I'm hoping after this lockdown, the music quality should be enhanced heavily.
Definitely.
Hopefully.
Definitely more albums will be out there. and of course more
Yeah,
into.
better playing, better playing. Everybody should play better.
And you know what I'm enjoying a lot is that uh, it's not just the music aspect. Like I try to, and I love to put my hands into many places where I feel there's so many experiences. Like I'm subscribed to a few chefs, for example. I listen to their interviews and their take on business and how, because end of the day they are also artists, we are artists, they have similar struggles. So it's always nice to see how they made it happen for themselves and their talks. And before the lockdown, we didn't really have access to listening to all these people talk and to really know who they are. And when you get into a situation where they have good amount of time to talk, not like a TV interview where they are, it's not like Coffee with Karan, that not like that, but
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like, you know, when a professional is talking to another professional. So just seeing all this content everywhere, I mean, imagine the impact and the influence it's going to have in the days to come, where let's say the lockdown gets over after some time, but I still have, I mean, the series that Mohini is doing, for example. Fantastic to listen to Benicia and fantastic to listen to Victor Wooten. Just the kind of things they're saying, the kind of things, because they are in peace, they've been home for a long time. They don't have to rush to the next gig, and it's just amazing. I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy about so many people releasing their albums. uh, Also Kurt released his album recently, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
was waiting for it for a while, and it so happens now God tells everybody, guys, no excuses, we are on. Let's just release stuff, and
Exactly.
everybody is doing that. I'm really looking forward to the amount of things we'll have now to refer to get inspired from. So you were
It's
saying
good karma. It's good karma that people put out good things into the world, and it just creates good karma.
also you are planning to record a full course. You were saying that on some online platform. That's also, when do you think you'll be able to release that, like a course that people can buy and
Yeah,
study in their own?
yeah, it's something that I'm working on. I mean, everything's been compiled. I kind of have to just put it down. I
Huh.
just need to put it down, and uh, it'll probably offer three various levels of beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Hmm.
And it's something that is, I mean, it's generalized drum set technique and rhythm concepts, but also stuff that really, there's a lot of educational material out there that really doesn't apply to you performing on your instrument.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it's exercises for the sake of exercises, so I really don't like that. I think there are some, you should just focus on the exercises that translate to you enhancing your ability on the instrument
Hmm.
irrespective of the style.
Hmm.
I believe in concept learning, concept practice, taking an idea and using it in various ways and making it your own. And then, once you have whatever emotional feeling you have, you can put, using that same idea, put it out there in your playing. So that is kind of the key element in all my lessons.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping to kind of put that down in a very organized fashion, and hopefully by this year it should be ready. I mean, I have the time right now.
I'll share some resources with you about that. I'll send it across,
Please.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some frameworks that can help you create that. I mean, basically post it to the right places essentially. So,
That'll be fantastic.
any last things you would like to share, Gino? Anything that comes to your mind?
Just to remind you that Sanjay Devecha wants to know the state of the Punjabi music scene right now.
It's slamming.
So I would suggest to just give him a call and give him an update.
So I don't know if you saw that video. I did Bhangra to one of his guitar solos.
I saw it worked really well. It
So
worked really well.
I was just listening to it and I thought it has the Punjabi swing. So I went for it.
I think that's an idea for a music video. Please inform Vasundhara about that.
I definitely will. This is so Gino, thank you so much, man. This has been fun, and it's always
Thank you, Saurabh.
pleasure talking to you. I miss you a lot. I miss hanging with you,
Likewise.
and
Yeah, we miss hanging out.
we will meet very soon. Thank you
Yes,
so
we will.
much for coming to the School of Bass podcast. we'll meet again.
Thank you. And you're doing a fantastic thing. Keep encouraging everybody, keep enhancing the scene, and more musicians, the better.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gino. I'll hang up the call now. I'll see you. Bye bye.
See
Thanks.
you. Bye, 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 everybody.
Thank you guys for watching the School of Bass podcast. It was super fun talking to Gino. He is an amazing person, as you have already seen. And I'll meet you next Saturday at 12 o'clock. Bye bye for now.